Hi there, Aaron Kopel, CEO of Project Brilliant here. I help business leaders create agile organizations. And today we're talking about the tree of agility. So how to sort of create your organization from the ground up here as an agile organization. So as we start down here in the roots of the tree, building a nice strong foundation for our tree, we're thinking about the values of agile. So the values of agile, as we think about those, we're thinking about things like people over process, adapting to change over following a plan, those kind of concepts. So the values of agile. As we go up the tree here, we start building a nice strong trunk of the tree. This is where we get into the agile principles. So principles will help us understand these values a bit more. And together, so the principles, we think about these as things like empowering people, focusing on quality, keeping things simple, those kind of principles. And as you put these together, this is where we usually think about agile being a mindset. So a different way of thinking here about everything, right? So putting these values and principles into practice with our mindset. And so as we get up here where the branches start to split out, this is where we get into different options on how to put this mindset to work for us. And this is what we call agile frameworks. So agile frameworks, some examples here will be things like Scrum, pretty popular, Kanban, that's another team level agile framework. We get into other things like scaling frameworks like Scrum at Scale, Less, Safe, which is scaled agile framework, those kind of categories of things. There's a few more out there that would fit in this category as well, but these are probably the most popular ones, and just sort of understanding that where those fit in the tree here is important for us. So we're using those frameworks to put this agile mindset to work for us, how we manage the work with agile frameworks. As we get to the top of the tree here, this is where we get into practices. And so when we talk about practices, what we're thinking here, these are things we can do and see and witness and measure. And so up here, we're going to have things like Scrum meetings, like daily Scrum, sprint retrospective, things like that. You've also got practices like technical practices of test-driven development, continuous integration. You might have other practices like having a backlog, other things like roles, Scrum Master, Product Owner, doing things like prioritization. So all those kind of practices up here, thousands of things we could put up here in the leaves of the tree. And the reason I like this tree analogy is because oftentimes where I see companies start their agile transformation is up here in the leaves of the tree, just grasping at these leaves and trying to do surface level change and declaring victory. We're agile because we do X, right? So of course, agile is not about just doing a simple set of practices. It's about really taking this mindset to heart and focusing on the values and principles down here. And where we want to start, of course, is starting to identify where's our company headed in this agile transformation? What are our values and principles? How do these relate to the agile values and principles, and do they match up? So if they match up, great, let's continue down this path. Then we can figure out what frameworks make sense for us, and then figure out what practices will make sense for us. But it all comes down to the why, which is down here in the bottom. So at the top of the tree here, we have doing agile. And it's not that doing agile is a bad thing, but if we don't have the why behind it and understand why we're doing these things at the top, then it usually doesn't work out very well. It's very precarious. And of course, grasping on the leaves, holding onto a tree can be a difficult situation as storms come through, seasons change, things like that. So we want to build a stable foundation for ourselves down here at the bottom, not just doing agile, but of course, starting to focus on being agile. That's the really important part, because that will help us withstand the seasons and the seasonal changes and storms and things like that as we go through the organizational change required to get us to this agile space. So hopefully that's helpful understanding sort of just a thought pattern of how we think about companies becoming agile and how to do it effectively, starting with values, principles, building up the frameworks, and then practices, focusing on being agile, not just doing agile, right? So hopefully that's helpful. Thanks again. Check out Project Brilliant for more information, and I hope to see you again for another video. Thanks a lot, folks.